Well, it's finally here. Turkey season 2022. I went with Jace a few weeks ago for the youth hunt. He got one. It was an awesome trip. Lots of birds, lots of action. Now it's my turn. Opening weekend was actually a week ago, but this is the first chance that I've got to go. Jace can't go, so I'm going by myself. But as usual, I'm a couple hours behind, just got packed up, getting ready to go, and standing here talking isn't helping matters. So here we go. Good morning. It's morning one. I'm probably about 30 minutes later than I want to be. I have heard a turkey firing off. I think he's on private, but it's about 5:45 and heading in for the first morning. So here we go. See what happens. So I've had a turkey gobbling this morning, probably 100 yards away, maybe 150. I don't know for sure, but he's not coming, and but he doesn't seem to be moving away either. So I just got out of my spot and started moving up this ridge in front of me, up to the top there, and I may have just seen a turkey head like running away. I'm not sure. So I may have screwed it up. I mean, it's been an hour. I've been sitting here, so it's not like I didn't give it enough time, but it might have been a squirrel too. I just couldn't tell. So I guess I'm committed at this point. I'm going to head up to the top of this ridge, see if I can get him to call or gobble again. Try to get in a little bit closer and see what happens. Or maybe locate some others on the way. It's probably about 7:45 right now. It's been pretty quiet, but it's a beautiful morning. It's not raining, so that's a plus. Okay, it's about 10 o'clock. I had that first sit this morning, and in that little stand of trees, I had birds around me. I had a couple toms gobbling, a couple hens yelping, but nothing wanted to come in. I had decoys set up. At least I didn't see it. I mean, something maybe came in, but I didn't see anything. None of the calls got any closer, so And I made my way up the ridge and set up again. Tried to get a little bit closer to where I'd heard the gobbles. I didn't really know how far they were. I set up again and nothing. I didn't even get any responses. So then I moved further up the ridge, up a logging road. When I got up there, I did get some more gobbles. They were quite a ways off again, but I sat down, I called a couple times. It seemed like maybe one was coming closer. So I repositioned and, I never heard anything after that. So I don't know if I screwed up and spooked them or what happened, but it's about 10 o'clock now and just taking a little break. It's a beautiful day, so lucky. It's not raining. I think it's supposed to rain this evening, but that's fine. So now I'm just kind of taking a break and gonna figure out where I'm gonna go next. And I'll check in then. Fingers crossed. Morning too. Just headed in. Got some turkeys gobbling down on private. Haven't heard anything on public that I can go after yet. Got in late again this morning. Beautiful morning. It's cold. It's probably 32 degrees. But it's beautiful. Sun's coming up. Here we go. All right. Had an exciting morning. It's 9:30. I'm back at the truck. Got on some birds this morning. I sat for like an hour and called nothing. So I headed up the ridge. I got to this logging road. And right when I got there, immediately, for whatever reason, a bird fired off, like probably within 100 yards of me. So immediately I just kind of dropped down. I didn't have time to get a camera or anything. And I saw him, and he was with a hen. And he was strutting and he was calling, and I would call and he'd respond, but he would not come. He wouldn't come any closer. He was with that hen. She didn't want anything to do with it. She kept moving. But while we were going back and forth, then some other toms started gobbling, and they were close too. They were probably 100 yards, 150 yards away, and sounded like they were coming as well. Well, I didn't know if they were going to come below me or above me. Anyway, long story short, the first tom, he just kept moving off, but eventually I did see the other toms following them, and they were closer, and so I just got prone, and as they kind of broke past the small stand of trees, I got a couple shots, and it was right, probably maximum distance, but it was within range, and it was no brush, anything, completely clear. It was just a little bit uphill, and I think that's what the problem was. And I hit him and bowled him over, and he wasn't doing the dead bird flapping wings, but he was flapping one wing, kind of still had his fan out. The other birds were just trying to figure out what was going on, so I probably should have run up, but it was uphill, so I knew it was going to take me a little while. I probably should have ran up the hill for the second shot to get closer, but I just didn't. I didn't know how fast I could get there, and I didn't want him to get away, so I put another one into him and hit him again, and then the others took off running, and so I thought, like, I got him, like, this is over, and so I was going up there to get him. I probably got 20 yards away from where he was and got up and flew away. So I don't know. So anyway, I didn't get him, but when they flew over the ridge down into the next valley, there were a couple of guys over there. I guess they flew right over them, and they like sounded like a war zone, to say the least. So I went over there. It was like, hey, don't shoot. I'm up here looking for a bird. And anyway, I looked again just to be sure there wasn't like a bird I didn't know about or whatever. And I looked for, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. And I know that was the bird. Like he flew right from where he had been. So pretty frustrating. I was pretty disappointed, pretty frustrated with myself. I hit him. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so I spent some time looking, and then another bird started firing off, and I think it was the original Tom that was with that hen. I don't know, but it was coming from the direction that he had gone, and so he was like 500 yards away, and I went after him. So long story short, he's about 500 yards away. I got in, got close, called. He would respond every single time, but he would not leave his spot. So then I'd get a little bit closer, got up on the edge of the road. I thought he was on the road strutting, so I got on the edge of the road right around this corner from him. Thought he's coming now. I got to be within like less than 100 yards. Called. He'd respond, and still wouldn't come. So finally, like I snuck up pretty much right to where I thought he was, and I got like within 30 yards of him, and I got him to respond, so I knew where he was at. I wasn't in a great setup, but I saw him, and I'd call, and I saw him on the other side of this big pine tree, strutting. I could just see him through the little openings, so I knew he was there. He'd respond when I'd call. I got some of this stuff on video, some of it not. So anyway, he was on the other side of this big pine tree. And eventually I got him to come, but he came to the left. And so I had swung my gun around, and he just would not come out of the brush. Like I know he's an old smart Tom. Like he was not leaving that little stand of timber that he was in. He wasn't leaving. Like he knows the game, and so if it's an actual hen he's calling to, she's gonna go to him, or he doesn't care. So he wouldn't come out of the brush. Then he turned and he went back behind the tree. Well, I thought, I'll get him to come back. He's responding. He's fired up. So I figured he's going to come the same way again, but this time hopefully he'll come far enough. So I had my gun pointed to the left, and he went silent. I didn't know where he was at. And next thing I know, he's coming out on the right side of the tree, and he's at like maybe 15 yards max. But my gun's pointed to the left, and I'm like not that well concealed, and so I can't get a shot. I have to watch him. The GoPro was on him, but I think it was too low. It was just on this little tripod, just this little like 6-inch thing. So I don't know that it got it, but he was right there, and he was a big bird. And I couldn't get my gun swung around, and then he knew something was up. He didn't like what he saw, and he was gone. He didn't like bust out, but he was just like, okay, I'm done. And then he wouldn't respond to more calls after that. So anyway, it's been a great morning. I ran into those hunters again. So they're hunting in the exact same spot, and that's kind of frustrating, but I don't know. I mean, that's just everywhere. So I'm going to be heading back in here shortly. Just need to charge the camera. Just came back for a quick break, and then going to head back in, and man, hopefully we can make something happen today. More later. Hey, so it's noon. I just spent like an hour, the last hour, in the little kind of natural tree blind that I have down the hill here, where the decoys are, and it's just like dead silent. Nothing's calling, nothing's making any noise, and never saw anything. So I'm up on the logging road, pretty much where I shot at the one this morning. I actually walked back up the hill, back up there behind me, and looked again. 'Cause I don't get it. Like I knocked it over twice. I found both my wads, but there's no feathers. There's nothing. It's just, so I think I must have shot a little low because of the incline, and most of my BBs hit the body, and I just didn't get one into the head or the neck. Which, if that's the case, that's on me. First one just knocked him down, and didn't seem like he was getting up, and then when he started to move, I put another one in him, and that knocked him down again. And then to watch him fly off, anyway, I'm gonna walk some logging roads and see what happens. More later. Okay, probably the final update for the day. I've been all over the place. Haven't had any luck since that Tom this morning. Found a little whitetail shed. Found a old moose shed, first one I've ever found. So it hasn't been a total bust, but haven't heard any birds or seen anything since that Tom this morning. So I'm headed back up to where he was. It's almost 5 o'clock. So this is going to kind of probably be the last try for the day. So I'm going to head back up there, see if he's still in the area, and see if I can get him to fire off. See what happens. Here we go. Okay, I don't know how much of what just happened the GoPro caught, but I'm right up where I got within like 12 yards of that turkey this morning, and he went to the wrong side of the tree, and I couldn't get my gun around before he took off. That was right there. I was right in there, and that's where that happened. Actually, I lied. It was right here. I was right by that big tree right there, and the big pine tree is the one that's, no, you can't see it, but it's down in there. So as I was coming around this corner, right when I peeked around the edge of these pine trees right here, as I was coming around this corner, he's standing there on the side of the road on the right-hand side. So he's up right by those trees right there, right in the dirt on the side of the road, and he sees me. But he doesn't spook. He just like looks at me, which is weird because most of the time they just like take off no matter what. They're not going to try to figure out what it is. But he didn't spook. He just stared at me. So I kind of like just as slow as I could, just kind of melted back behind these pine trees right here. And he just kind of walked up and he stayed up there for a little bit. And I tried calling a couple times, and then I snuck up to the base of these trees right here behind this tree and just waited to see if maybe he'd just peek out enough for me to see him or get a shot or whatever. And ultimately he's just gone, disappeared, didn't respond to any calls, didn't see him again. So it was close. It was really close. I paced it off, and it's 60 yards to where he was at from right here. So there's no way I was going to shoot. But I mean, it was obviously him. He's a big bird. He looks like he's twice the size of a hen. So I'm naming him Butterball, and we're gonna have round 3 with Butterball tomorrow morning. See what we can do. But I guess it was a good way to end the evening. Beautiful evening. It's been a fun day, so I'll take it. I guess it's time to head out, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning. Well, I don't know how much will be on the GoPro, but I just missed again. They caught me off guard. I had been calling to them, and they were in a completely different spot than where I thought they were. I guess they maybe had moved and were maybe coming towards the calls. I don't know. But I came around the corner. I thought they were down in this valley right over here to my right. And in fact, they were up this hill to my left. And I totally got pegged. So they saw me standing in the middle of the road. I didn't really feel like I could back out. I mean, I was standing in the middle of the road. So it was close. It was probably 50 yards. Again, just God, right at the edge of the, right at the limit, but had a Tom strutting there and just missed. So I just sat for like, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes, feeling sorry for myself, I guess. But it's still only 7:30, so it's perfect time. So I'll lick my wounds and see if I can find anything else. At this point, I'm starting to feel like there's not going to be any birds in this place that are going to be willing to play. I think I've educated them all, but let's see what happens. It's about 11 o'clock. I came back to the truck and didn't see anything else this morning, so came back to the truck, and now I'm going into a completely new area I've never been in before. I'm not planning on going in for very long. Really, I'll probably just kind of check it out and see, if there's sign. I'm already seeing scratching and things like that. So there's turkeys here, but I think this place gets hit really hard. It's not very far off the road. Really easy to get into so far. So, but I don't know that anyone's been in here the last day. So we'll go in, we'll see what's going on, and then probably end up coming out after an hour or so. But here we go, new area. See what it's like. Well, that's it. That's gonna do it. It's about 2 o'clock. I've got a long drive home, so I gotta get on the road. So unless I see something walking out, which is highly unlikely, but there have been a couple things that I'm gonna take away from this trip. I've just been thinking all day about that bird a couple days ago, or yesterday, I guess it was. And I just I'm just not gonna shoot at any birds past 40 yards anymore. It's really bothered me that I wounded that bird. And while I've been sitting here waiting for something to gobble or make a sound so I could try to figure out where they're at, I read a Meat Eater article, and it talked about some research that was done, and I don't remember what the percentages are, but they checked birds, collared birds, after the season, and there was some percentage of them that had gotten body shots and had obviously gotten away, but then ended up dying like a week or two later because of pellets in the body cavity. And so now I can't stop thinking about that. So no more shots past 40 yards. And obviously my goal is to get closer than that, but nothing past that. That's it. I'm not doing that anymore. And obviously the intent has always been to get a clean headshot. Yeah. So I also just wanted to mention, just so people know, that second shot I took on that bird this morning, that's the first time I've ever shot at a flying turkey, and that I'll never do that, other than if I think I may have hit a bird, I'm going to do whatever I can then at that point to try to put it down. And that's the only reason I shot that second shot. I wasn't sure if I hit it, so I think that's the other thing that I'm gonna take away from this is I'll still shoot at a flying bird if I know that I hit it hard and I just am trying to like put it down if for whatever reason it didn't go down. But I'm not going to shoot at a flying bird. One, just in general, I'm just not going to do that, even though it's not necessarily illegal. I'm just not going to do it. And I'm not going to do it if it's questionable whether I hit the bird or not, because if I didn't hit it and then I end up wounding it when it's flying, well, that's just as bad. So two big things taken away from this. I'm definitely going to trim down the length of distance I'm willing to shoot on a turkey, and I'm not going to shoot at a bird on the fly unless I absolutely know I hit it hard, and I'm doing whatever I can to put it down. So other than that, it was a great weekend, and I guess as long as I've walked away with some lessons learned, then that's not all bad either. So time to head out and catch you on the next one.